Is this thing on? Hello? Hi everybody, my name is Nydia and welcome to Nydia Overbooked. I'm so excited to launch this new booktube channel. It has been a dream of mine for a really long time and I am just so excited to get started. I have just loved all things books and stories and storytelling my whole life. I started reading at a really young age. I loved Junie B. Jones. The B stands for Beatrice, but she doesn't like that. That was one of my favorite stories growing up. And I also read every single Magic Tree House book I could get my hands on. I was the kid that had a book with her everywhere she went. I always had something to read. I wanted a Kindle for my birthday in like 4th grade because I wanted to be able to read all the time because I loved books, right? So that love of books really continued throughout my whole childhood. When I was in middle school, it was like the golden era of dystopian 2012 fiction. I'm talking Hunger Games, I'm talking Divergent, I'm talking Matched. You name it, I was reading it and I was loving it. And then high school happened. I had a really bad experience with a high school librarian that just left a really bad taste in my mouth. And I stopped going to the library and I kind of stopped reading a little bit. I just got really super burnt out, I think. And I was dealing with all the life things, you know, getting ready to graduate high school and trying to decide what I wanted to do with my life. Still don't have an answer to that one. And it's just reading for me went on the back burner. I always had books. I always was thinking about, you know, what am I going to read next? I would sit and binge a book series for like a week straight and then I wouldn't touch a book for months. And I still kind of do that now, but we won't talk about that. So I kind of took a break from books. I went to college and I started working towards my degree in professional writing because even though I wasn't reading still, I still loved the craft of writing and just storytelling and picking things apart. And then something crazy, spooky, silly, funny happened my sophomore year of college. And really the whole world changed because the COVID-19 pandemic happened. The rug was like pulled out from under me. I know that's a similar story to everybody who went through that. And all of a sudden, you know, the college experience that I was supposed to be having was gone because I was living back in my childhood bedroom with my family and sharing one bathroom with my 3 siblings. And it was just a lot. And I was watching people, you know, die and it was a lot. And I just so happened to get really, really lucky and I got a job at a trucking manufacturer in my hometown. It was actually an internship, a technical writing internship, so it was like right in my field. It was like a gift from heaven, right? I worked for 6 months at this trucking manufacturer writing process controls, which is basically like I was writing the directions on how to build a truck. Now I just want you to look at me for a second. Like, look at me. Look at me. Do I look like somebody who should be spending her life in a trucking manufacturer? Do I look like I know how to use power tools? The answer would be no, because I don't. I had no clue what I was doing. It was a really good experience, but I had no clue what I was doing. And because it was COVID, there was a ton of shortages and things were on back order and it was just a mess. So I had a ton of downtime. And I thought, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna try to find a book to read on the Kindle app on my phone while I sit here because there's only so much scrolling on social media that I can do. And I stumbled upon Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo and I was straight up hooked and I did not look back. I started just reading all of the things again and I really found this love of reading again that I hadn't had in a long time. because I had the free time to choose what I wanted to read. I wasn't being told what I needed to read by a professor or a teacher or anything like that. And I needed the escape that comes with reading. And I needed that creative outlet. I needed to be able to recharge. So I was up reading every night until like midnight, getting up 7 a.m., going working in a trucking manufacturer where I was reading some more. So like so many people, I really rediscovered my love of reading during 2020. And it was just so refreshing, honestly, to have something in my life that I knew would be constant in the craziness of life. Like there's always good books and there are always bad books, right? There are always there. So I realized I have always been a fantasy girly. Like I loved to read Magic Treehouse. I loved Percy Jackson. Yes, I was a Percy Jackson kid. And I loved just all things magic and dragons and just fairy tales and princes and princesses and knights and fairies, and I just loved it. There were just so many things that I had missed about being in a fantasy book, about the world building and the magic and just feeling like I was experiencing something new that I would never get to experience for real in my little childhood bedroom while the world was ending outside. All that's to say, I am your friendly neighborhood fantasy girly. I love romantasy. I love romantic fantasy. I love epic fantasy. I love historical fantasy. It is my bread and butter. It's literally my favorite thing to read, and that is probably what you will come across a lot on this account, because I want to be transported when I read something. I want to be distracted from everyday life. And if a book I'm reading is too much like real life, I'm gonna read it because I live this life every day. I don't need more of it. So in the span of all of this, 2020 happened, and I was actually able to go back to college, go back to my college campus for my junior year. There was so much social distancing and things going on, and I was just straight up lonely. And I was reading all these books again, and I was getting back into like what I loved most about reading and just finding stories and consuming media, that I needed somebody to talk to it with. So that is how my Instagram account, which has now become Nydia Overbooked, was born. I started this account in October of 2020, and still to this day, it is one of my favorite things that I've ever created. I love getting on there and snapping pictures of books and just being creative and talking about what I'm reading and talking with other people. I have made so many friends through that account, and I still talk to them every day, and we talk about books and we talk about life, and it's just great, and I love it. And I was one of those people who said I was never gonna get into like TikTok. That's for the children, and I am a grown-up. I'm not doing TikTok, is what I said. And then I started a TikTok. And there's this funny thing that happens on TikTok is it's very addictive because the algorithm is made for that. It's literally made to make you want to continue making videos. So I had a couple videos blow up, and then I was chasing that high, obviously, and I started to really enjoy making video content, surprisingly. I loved being silly, goofy, funny on the internet. There was a way that I could just be so much more personable than I could necessarily be on Instagram. And that is how Nydia Overbooked, the TikTok account, came in to play. So in the course of creating this little small corner of the internet on my TikTok and Instagrams, I realized that I was still craving like a little place where I could really get into the nitty-gritty about what I was reading. Those apps are great, but there is a nuance that is lost when you are dealing with a 5-minute video that you know the algorithm is not going to push because it's too long, right? And so I started kicking around this idea of maybe I should start my own YouTube channel. Because you know I love to yap. I am a yapper. And I was craving this place where I could really get down deep, deep into just all of the things. Basically, I wanted to be able to create like a video literary analysis, and I couldn't do that on TikTok. Couldn't really do that on Instagram. So here we are. Nydia Overbooked, the booktube. Well, if you have made it this far into this video, drop a comment below and tell me what your favorite books to read are and why you are here in Booktube. And I'm so excited to get to know you more and just get started on this journey. So we will talk soon. Bye!